How's it going, guys? I got a standard match against a guy by the name of, what was his name? XZero9091 or something like that. But, well, it's not really standard, kind of standard-ish. You guys know how I am with theme teams and that kind of stuff. And I was like, it's kind of standard, kind of mixed kind of thing. And he's like, okay, I'll do the same thing. And looking at it, you know, we both got Victini, we both have... Actually, I think that's the only poke we have in common, but we're on pretty even playing grounds, so that's kind of what made this match so fun. It is a little bit longer just because we both end up doing a lot of switching, and I kind of just sped it up overall, not really knowing what I was going to run into, because I hadn't seen this game back in a while, but I figured, why the fuck not? So, anyway, he's going to go and lead off with Azov, I'm going to go and lead off with Victini. Just want to go for the U-turn to get some super effective damage if he stays in, then some scouting if he doesn't, and turns out he does stay in, and he takes it, you know, pretty well, so... I do believe I decided to go out into my Espeon. I don't really understand. Oh, you know what? I thought he was going to set up the Stealth Rocks. That's why, you know, old school 4th gen lead and whatnot. But he ends up just going for the nasty plot. I am naturally slower than Azov, and I do not want to stay in here. So I'm going to go ahead and go out into my my Scizor as he decides to go for a +2. I believe he's just a straight out attacking lead, which I was not expecting at all. If you see how much damage that Thunderbolt does, I was not prepared for that, and that's a special defensive Scizor too. But he is going to go ahead and switch out, decide to go into his Suicune to take the Bullet Punch, which is fairly obvious. I believe I just ended up going for it just because if I don't kill that thing off, it's going to kill me off. And I really want to go for a Roost right now, but I don't want to risk the burn, so I don't remember what I end up doing. I'll probably find a better opportunity to Roost, I guess. I'm not at, like, send this thing in for Death Fodder HP, but I am at a range where I should be concerned. So I'm going to go into my Vaporeon, and he decides to set up a Calm Mind, so he's doing these setups fairly early, and it makes me think that he's a little bit more of an aggressive player, but I'll just tuck that in the back of my mind for now. But he's going to go out to Celebi. I guess I don't really know what he was expecting, but if he's just going to get Toxic, that's probably the best thing to do, just because it's got Nature Cure and whatnot, and I'll just be wasting time. But I believe he's going to make a double switch back to his Suicune, predicting me to switch out and not want to take a Giga Drain or a Leaf Storm, and I end up just going for the Protect just to see what he's going to want to do. And next he goes for an Ice Beam, predicting me to switch out again. I'm not going to get that aggressive with my predictions. I do want to get this thing Toxic just to get residual damage going, and then eventually it's going to get to the point where he's going to have to reveal whether or not he has Rest. I know a lot of things do, but every now and then I'll run into the offensive Hydro Pump variant, that kind of thing, and it just ends up fucking me over. So I figure I might as well Toxic it now, and we'll figure out what happens later. So while he ends up going for a switch, or he just switches out to Celebi going for a switch. What? No. I just decided to set up a Wish just because, you know, he doesn't really have any business staying in, being a Suicune and whatnot. And I'm going to pass it out to my Victini. I realized that I was in danger of a T-Wave from there, but I didn't think about it until after I clicked it. But then I was looking at my team and I was like, this is probably the best thing to take on anything Celebi has to offer. Even an Earth Power is probably not going to take me out. And then the Wish will bring me back up to full. So I have a good switch thing going on, and I do definitely want to go for the U-turn, you know, the Celebi being quad weak to it. So I got a lot of opportunities to use this Victini really good, so I want to keep this thing as high HP as possible, keep my Vaporeon around just because it's such a good switch into Suicune. But now that Suicune's poison, that kind of thing, I'm going to get a little bit more HP. Well, not because of that, but I'm going to switch in, get a little bit more HP. And he starts setting up Calm Minds. I really don't know what his offensive water move is, whether or not it's going to be Scald or Surf, but I'm going to take the time to do it now. Just because I didn't really think he was going to want to do anything else, I guess. I don't understand why he's playing it like this, or maybe it's just me being completely out of it, but I'm kind of lost in the game right now. Just give me a little bit to get my bearings. I just got back from lunch, so gonna go ahead and switch out and then decide to go back into my Vaporeon, and I figure I can just keep this Wish passing U-turning thing up since Suicune cannot fucking touch me at all. I mean, it has Calm Mind, it has probably Water Stab, and then it's got Ice Beam, and then we need to know whether or not it has Rest or not. So he shows off that he does have Calm Mind, Rest, Ice Beam, and then he's probably going to have Scald. That's what I was thinking the entire time, which is why I'm very careful in playing the Scizor. And, you know, I did decide to do that thing, but it turns out he's Resto Chesto, which was like, that's why I didn't see any lefties. But I'm still really not too concerned with it because he's going to go for an Ice Beam right now. Even after like +2, that does nothing, and I'm just going to go for another Toxic again. Just because, you know, all the turns that I'm going to stay in here and try to attempt to Wish Pass and things like that, the Toxic damage on his end is going to rack up, and then he's just going to be forcing a Rest, and then eventually I'll get a good switch and then just get the ball rolling again. And I think this process repeats itself a lot, but I'm going to go for another Wish, and I decided to pass it out into something just because it can either go for Psychic or T-Bolt. I figured the best thing to take both is probably going to end up being Victini, and he does end up going for the Psychic, probably predicting my switch out from Vaporeon, not wanting to take the T-Bolt, but into something else. I don't really necessarily know what. The only other thing I probably could have thought of was Espeon, but then I really wouldn't have stayed in again, so whatever. Wish Pass out to Victini for the second time, so that's kind of cool. Do take him out with a U-turn. I would have preferred U-turn, I guess, over anything else. I don't really care what he's going to do, just because I know that if I switch in Vaporeon, he's going to switch out to Celebi, and I don't mind that at all, just because Vaporeon's at full HP. A lot of my guys on my team right now are at full HP, and I don't mind making some of these switches. Like that Earth Power, pretty fucking obvious. So I was like, alright, that's fine. You know, I'll switch into it. I have the U-turn. We can see that he's Life Orb, things like that, so he'll be less defensive. He won't want to take this U-turn, so he'll end up switching out. So he goes out into his own Victini, and I do get switch advantage right here. Going to get to go out to my, I believe I go out to the Vaporeon just to get the Wish Passing again, and it's my best thing to take a V-Create, and I also kind of want to scat out to see what kind of Victini he is, but he ends up switching out. I believe I ended up going for a Protect here to scout out what he was going to do in case he was a choice variant, but now that I see that he switches out to Celebi, I don't want to stay in, decide to go out into my Scizor, and I was under the impression that if you run Earth Power, you don't run HP Fire. So I was like, okay, I'm good to go here now that I know that he has Earth Power. But it turns out this crafty motherfucker is running both of them. And that's a dead Scizor because I was not expecting that. You know, all the builds I see are like Giga Drain and then Nasty Plot and then, you know, Recover and then like Earth Power or other things like that. I just don't see Earth Power and Hidden Power together. And that's what really got me. Just because you really only need one of those for steals. You don't need both, but it really worked out for him in this scenario. But I do get a safe switch into Victini if there's any perk to that. And I believe I just decided to go for another U-turn. I'm going to keep going for U-turns anytime I'm against Celebi just because it's, you know, the thing that'll damage the most and it'll get me switch advantage. I have no reason not to go for it, especially since going for a V-Create would put me in a tight spot against anything else. But I U-turn out in my Vaporeon, going to go for the Protect, see what he wants to do. And I do see that he's physical, so that's cool. He is going to go for the Fusion Bolt. And I was kind of in a spot right here where I was like, I don't really have anything that is like, okay, let's take a Fusion Bolt. My Scizor probably would have been okay with it, and it turns out that my Machamp takes that a hell of a lot better than I thought it would. You know, it being unstab and everything basically tells me that he's not banded right off the bat. But I believe I set up a sub here, if I'm not mistaken. No, I go for the payback just because I thought he was going to go for another one. Okay, that works. Still kind of scared of Scald. I do still have a decent, I think this guy is my physical attacker, and then Victini. I don't want this guy getting burned just because he's got lefties, but he's going to go ahead and switch out into his Victini, and I believe I switched out as well to go into, no, I didn't. Okay, I went right for the Dynamic Punch, and I make a pretty ballsy play on the next turn in that I'm going to bank on the Confusion, and then if he does hit himself in Confusion, I'll be able to nail him with a payback. But if he doesn't, then he'll probably be able to take me out with the Zen Headbutt, and unfortunately it doesn't work out in my favor. You got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes, and I didn't get it on that one. But that's okay, because now that I see that he's locked in on a Zen Headbutt, or at least I'm assuming he is, you know, he's probably going to be a Choice Guy variant. I'm not seeing Recoil, I'm not seeing Lefties, I'm not seeing anything like that. I get to go into my Espeon, which is going to be the answer to this scenario, as he decides to go out into his Suicune. And I'm okay with that. So I think I have Psyshock on this thing as opposed to Psychic. I'm really on the fence about whether or not I want to switch those around, just because it's so circumstantial. I don't want to run both because that's really stupid. But I'm going to run Psyshock for now, and then knowing that most Suicunes are physically defensive, it's not really doing as much as I wanted it to. But that's after one Calm Mind, so that's okay. I also take the Scald pretty beautifully thanks to you know, the special defense boost and whatnot. And I will be able to take out this Suicune on the next turn. I do predict the switch out to Victini, which is why I decided to switch up moves and go for the Shadow Ball, but he just decides to leave it in his fodder. That's okay too. So, what do we have going on? This game's actually cruising along pretty nicely. So, he brings in Victini now that he has a safe switch into it. And I decide I'm going to go out into my own Victini, knowing that I can pretty much take, I think I just decided to do his fodder, actually. He goes for Fusion Bolt, and I actually live it. But it turns out I'm faster. I don't know if he's running like Jolly Scarf or whatever, and I ended up winning the tie. If he's running Adamant Scarf, I don't fucking know. But I run Jolly Scarf, and I ended up winning the speed tie in the V-Create, so if there was one. But take it out, and then because I'm Scarfed, I'm back down to base 100 Jolly range, which means I will be able to outspeed Celebi as well. He does recognize this, decides to go out into the Latias, so he was baiting me to stay in for an extra turn, and, you know, I took the bait, you know, freaking Victini ate Celebi up for breakfast, like all the moves it has going for it. But I go for the V-Create, end up going for it on Latias, and that's bad just because I don't want this thing setting up subs or anything like that, and this is going to be Victini's last stand. Otherwise, Light-Ass is going to set up a sub, start to Calm Mind, then Dragon Pulse the rest of my team, and I don't like that, but he's going to end up going for a Dragon Pulse. Gets a crit, that stupid bitch, that totally mattered. Whatever. Anyways, after that thing dies, it does give me a safe switch into my Gengar or my Espeon, which both have Shadow Ball and should be able to take on Latias. And I didn't really know whether or not this crit mattered. A lot of people said it did just because Latias is really specially bulky, but that's a stab Shadow Ball, and, you know, Gengar is not that shabby on the special attacking side. I think we calced it, and it mattered by a little bit. But thing is that I could have gone into Espeon and just finished it off. So it's not crucial to the outcome of the game, but it was a thinking point at the time. Like, did that really ruin everything? No, I don't think it did. But I go for sub on the Infernape just to see what it is, and then I'm going to go for the Disable, because I think it's Choice Banded, because why the fuck not? And he ends up going for another Flare Blitz, so maybe he is choiced. I'm not 100% on this. And he switches out, and he plays it like it's choiced. But the thing is it's not choiced, and you'll see later what it is. But he's going to go out into Celebi, I believe, to take a Shadow Ball. I guess decide to go into here as Death Fodder. But go for sub just because I know I'm free to do so. I'm not at the mercy of either of the stabs. You know, the one that will hit me is disabled, and the other one that won't hit me because fighting and whatnot. But go for Shadow Ball for behind a sub, and I'm sitting in a really good spot. So I think what I tried to do right here is I tried to disable his Flare Blitz again as he comes in. Or, no, I go for the Shadow Ball. That's what I do. So I go for the Shadow Ball, try to get some damage, just for him to use a move, because if I try to go for the Disable first, then, you know, it won't work. But go for Flare Blitz and break the sub, so I get to disable it next turn. But I think on the next turn is where he shows me that he's actually Expert Belted. And get this turn right here is just so fucking ridiculous. But gonna go for the Disable. And he ends up switching up moves, so he's Expert Belted, or I don't know, Muscle Band, fucking whatever you want to run. But he gets the Paralysis too. So by me trying to fucking dick around and let him kill himself off with Struggle, I end up losing my Gengar. It's okay because I do have Espeon, but, you know, he does end up getting to finish me off. I'm just like, how the fuck did that happen? Hello, what? Okay. Anyways, Espeon's gonna come in and I believe finish off this game with a Psyshock. Let me check the Vegas track. How we doing? Yeah, that's going to be the game. So, Psyshock for the win, and that'll do it. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a pretty straightforward game, nothing too complex. Just nice little standard pokes, I guess, and then line them up, and then play a game, and then that's the game. So, if you guys enjoyed it, you're welcome to leave a like rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. I got LP episodes queued up for the week, and then I'm thinking about streaming on Wednesday or Thursday for sure are gonna be streaming days. Maybe I'll stream a lot this week. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. And then I'll see about what my next LP is gonna be after Mega Man. For those of you that have been waiting for Penumbra, it's probably gonna end up being that, and then I can jump into other things. Who knows? Maybe do multiple LPs at the same time. Kind of on the fence about that, but we'll see. I do want to start bringing you guys more uploads, but outside of battle videos and LPs, I'm kind of just like, I don't know. I don't want to vlog. I'll brainstorm on my own time. So I'm just letting you know that I'm going to try to change the content up on this channel a little bit. And there's my public service announcement of the day. So I'll see you guys on the next one.